Good morning, everyone. It's Monday, May 11th. I'm Stephanie Haney here with your 3 News Now early update with the top headlines from WKYC.com and our WKYC app. I hope everyone had a wonderful weekend. Welcome back to Monday. Let's go ahead and get this week started. We will start with our latest numbers from the Ohio Department of Health. Now, these numbers come in every day at 2 p.m., so we'll be going over the numbers from Sunday, May 10th right now, when those numbers came in from the Ohio Department of Health related to how COVID-19 is looking currently here in the state of Ohio. So the latest numbers that we have are now, again, based on that expanded CDC definition that include both reported COVID-19 cases and also probable COVID-19 cases that didn't necessarily result from a positive test. So right now, there are a total of 24,081 confirmed COVID-19 and probable COVID-19 cases here in the state of Ohio. How that looks over the past several days is this is the second consecutive day with fewer new cases reported. So on Friday, we saw a spike in cases. On Friday, the number of cases that were reported newly was 885. Now, from Saturday to Sunday, which is where we are now, we saw 384 new cases. So we've got 2 days in a row where we saw less new cases over that time period. So we'll see what happens today when we get those new numbers at 2 p.m. The number of deaths currently in the state of Ohio is 1,341. This is an increase of 10 deaths from the previous day, from Saturday. In terms of number of hospitalizations, there are now 4,351, which is 51 new hospitalizations from the day before, and that is down from Saturday and is also well below the average for the last 3 weeks. So it looks as if hospitalizations may be on a downturn according to those numbers. And the number of patients who are currently in the hospital right now is 962. If we look at the number of ICU admissions, there have been 1,205, and the number of patients who are currently in the ICU as of Sunday at 2 p.m. is 381. Now we have some news for people who have not yet received their stimulus checks under the U.S. CARES Act. The IRS has set this Wednesday as the deadline to sign up for direct deposit if you didn't previously get direct deposit. So if you've not yet received your stimulus check and you haven't yet signed up for direct deposit and that's something that you want, you're going to want to go to the IRS website and use the Get My Payment tool. And you're going to want to do that by noon on Wednesday, May 13th. That's this week. So if you don't sign up by Wednesday, if you're not interested in direct deposit, there will be a wait of several weeks in order to get that stimulus check via the mail. About 130 million people who have already received the payments. Millions are still waiting for that money, however. So there are some who are still waiting. If you want that direct deposit, you need to sign up for that by Wednesday. So as a reminder, these payments are part of the $2.2 trillion rescue package that was recently signed into law aimed at fighting the economic impact of the COVID-19 pandemic. For the most part, the government is sending eligible Americans a $1,200 payment plus an additional $500 per child. For full information on what you can expect if you have not yet received that payment, you're going to want to go to WKYC.com. We do have a calculator there as well, so you can see what you might be expecting to receive if you've not yet done that. So you're going to want to go to irs.gov/coronavirus, and that's where you'll find the Get My Payment tool so that you can sign up for that direct deposit. Today, we do expect to have a press conference from Governor Mike DeWine. We haven't heard from him in a couple days. His last press conference was on Thursday of last week. That's when he said that restaurants and hair salons would be reopening on a limited basis on May 15th. We did know that coming up on Friday. He talked about that a little bit more, and we expect to hear more details from him today about reopening plans for other things. Here are some key dates to remember. Tomorrow, May 12th, all Ohio retailers are allowed to reopen. Retailers have been allowed to take appointments and provide curbside service since the beginning of May, but they will be allowed to reopen on the 12th. And on May 15th, that's this Friday, hair salons, barbershops, day spas, and personal services are allowed to reopen. Bars and restaurants can have people outside in their outdoor dining spaces. That's starting on Friday. On May 21st, bars and restaurants will be allowed to host guests for indoor dining as long as they put practices in place to encourage physical distancing. We are still waiting on an announcement regarding gyms and fitness centers as well as childcare facilities, and we expect the governor to talk about those things, some of those things, today at 2 p.m. during his press conference. Now, despite the fact that we are moving forward here in Ohio with reopening, there's a new poll that shows the majority of Americans actually disagree with these reopening protests that we've been seeing happening around the country, some here in Columbus as well. So this is a poll from AP NORC, and that's a combination of a survey from the University of Chicago Divinity School and the Associated Press NORC Center for Public Affairs Research. This poll finds that 71% of Americans favor people being required to extend those stay-at-home orders at this time. 55% of Americans disapprove of the protests that have popped up in some states, and only 31% of the respondents said that they approved of the protests. So according to the poll, Democrats are more likely than Republicans to disapprove of the protests at a rate of 67% to 51% disapproving of the protests. 32% of Republicans and 25% of Democrats say they do approve of the protests. Only 8% said public protests, marches, and rallies should be unrestricted during the outbreak, while 41% they think they should be allowed only with restrictions, and 50% think they should just simply not be allowed at all. In Michigan, thousands of people rallied outside the state capitol last month, and that was in protest of the Democratic Governor Gretchen Whitmer's restrictions. Hundreds returned 2 weeks later, some of them actually armed, to demonstrate inside the State House. Here in Ohio, we have had our own protests taking place outside of the State House during Governor DeWine's briefings at 2 p.m. Now, despite all of that, we are moving ahead with reopening here in Ohio, and Ohio barbershops, restaurants, and salons are making dramatic changes ahead of that, which is happening this week. So the next time you pull up, things will definitely look a little bit different. First of all, you will not be able to just walk in. You will be calling when you arrive, and you'll wait for your appointment in your car or at a safe place outside the business. And that's because only one customer will be allowed in for every single stylist. Now, if you have a child with you, they can come into if necessary, but it's recommended that you only come by yourself. And you won't see things like magazines or any things that might be highly touched by multiple people in those places anymore. Employees will also be required to do symptom checks daily. Now, that includes checking for temperatures, and staffs will be cleaning salon chairs and tanning beds, if that's something that you use, before and after every single appointment. At 3 News, we talked to some business owners, and one Northeast Ohio salon owner told 3 News' Jasmine Monroe that after people are gone, they will wipe down the chair, they'll wipe down whatever they touch, and they have hand sanitizer, so on the way out, the people who come in can sanitize their hands, and on the way in, they can sanitize their hands. Distancing rules will apply at all salons and barbershop, with the exception that the customer and their stylist, of course, can be less than 6 feet apart, because that is just necessary. If you're going to be going to a stylist, they can't do your hair from 6 feet away. And while employees will be required to wear masks, customers will also be encouraged to wear them, though not required, which is in line with Governor Mike DeWine's comments related to the masks. You won't be mandated to wear them in public places if you are a customer. Employees will be mandated to wear them, but it is highly encouraged if you are able to wear a mask in public at this time. Now we have some sad news to share, but also a celebration of life of Jerry Stiller, who is well known from the sitcom Seinfeld. He has died at the age of 92. Jerry Stiller played Frank Costanza on Seinfeld, the father of George Costanza, who was played by Jason Alexander, and his real-life son, comedian Ben Stiller, announced his death on Monday. He said that he did die from natural causes. So some of the movies that we know Jerry Stiller from include Walter Matthau's police sidekick in the thriller The Taking of Pelham 1, 2, 3, and DeWine's husband, Wilbur Turnblad, in John Waters' comedy Hairspray. He also wrote an autobiography called Married to Laughter, and that was about his 62-year marriage with his soulmate and partner in comedy, Anne Miara, who passed away in 2015. We've also seen him on The King of Queens, playing another well-known sitcom dad on that show, on Murder, She Wrote, on Law & Order, and 36 appearances alongside his wife on The Ed Sullivan Show. So celebrating the life of Jerry Stiller today, and our thoughts are with his entire family. Here in Ohio, if something that you are interested in is having a garage sale, while we haven't heard of what kind of guidelines will be in place for many things like tattoo shops, for example. We do have some guidelines in place if you would like to run a garage sale or an outdoor sale at this time. So they are very much in line with the things Governor Mike DeWine has been saying about everything. People should be practicing safe distance at these things. If you're going to host one of these events, you should place posters encouraging that distance to see as soon as they arrive and throughout while shopping. Set up tables and chairs to be 6 feet apart. Use heavy-duty tape to form a sort of flow for customers to follow throughout the sale. Ask people to stand in line, spread apart, and clean all tables and chairs several times throughout the day. We also have more information about those guidelines on WKYC.com and our WKYC app if you would like to check that out. That caps things off for your early update today for 3 News Now on Monday, May 11th. Next up, we have 3 News Connect. That's with Jay Crawford and our senior health correspondent, Monica Robbins. You can find that at 12 p.m. That's on 3 News on TV, also on WKYC.com and our WKYC app. And then I'll be back here at 2 p.m. as soon as we get those updated numbers from the Ohio Department of Health to share those with you. I'm Stephanie Haney. I'll see you back here in a little bit.